Hello and welcome to the WhatCulture Wrestling 2 million subscribers celebration live Q&A. I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, joined by Phil Chambers, Simon Miller and Adam Cleary from WhatCulture for the next hour to answer all of your, wrestling questions, WhatCulture-based questions. We're just here to celebrate the fact, as we have been doing all this week and will continue into the weekend, celebrating the fact we hit 2 million subscribers, all thanks to you guys. So let us know in the comments the questions you want answered. And if you want to donate, that's great. Hopefully that will make your question easier to spot, but we'll try and answer as many as possible as we can. Very quickly, to start off, it sounds weird saying this, but Adam Cleary, where are you?
In a place that work can potentially be done that may or may not be loosely associated with the company for which we work. We've got a big special announcement to make on Sunday. We'll have loads more information about that then. But people who've been watching the channel over the last weeks, months, depending on how good you were at spotting things, probably know we may have taken the opportunity of everything being closed and locked down to, just do a bit of, what's the word I'm thinking of here? Elaborate office moving. Of property.
That's the word.
Yeah, do a little bit of, what do they call it? The old massive property investment. That's it.
Well, we're excited to hear more and more about that. Phil will be looking out for your questions, of course. But 2 million subscribers, Simon Miller, an incredible achievement. You were watching one of your first ups and downs the other day. We've come a long way, haven't we?
I think that's being fair. Completely honest. That isn't I watched it about a year ago, and it's that thing. Somebody tweeted it to me, and you don't want to click it, but you're like, I'm going to have to look at this now because somebody's mentioned it. Because they had essentially messaged me and said, Simon, you were really bad. So I was like, well, now I've got to watch it. And yeah, it's the fear, isn't it? It's the terror of doing something brand new, being on a channel which is pretty big. But yeah, I like to think I found my voice is the way that I spin it. I found my voice, and now everything is okay. But yeah, it's certainly not something I would showcase in a video CV of me looking like I'm about to explode. But hey, man, you got to evolve, you got to progress. So
I think my favorite thing from that watching your first video thing back was the first thing you ever did on the channel was give a down, which just goes against everything everyone knows about you.
Exactly. You see, people say I'm too positive. The first thing I ever did was be negative. So
I was absolutely furious watching yours back because just the level you were starting at, like your level of bad was just like so much better than the rest of it. I was like, how dare he sit there and go, oh, I can't believe this. Oh no, please don't make me watch. That's so terrible.
Yeah, it looked like I was quite clearly, using a teleprompter. Phil had all this nervous energy, and clearly he was like he was on tranquilizers at the start of it. It was all over the shop for the rest of it. And then Miller's like, oh, I didn't do the show in order. I did it slightly, convoluted. I was like, well, no, that's not fair. Phil, just to jump on to yours, we did. I saw your thing as Hobo Joe, but you and Cleary were part of one of the first videos that we ever released after the lineup change, let's say. How was that, and how was the reception for that for you?
Well, I mean, I don't think we can talk about the reception to that on a celebration video. Yeah, it wasn't good. We were very much thrown in at the deep end as being the first people to do like a face-to-cam video after it had all happened, and we kind of knew what we were going to expect going into that. We kind of tried to make a bit of a joke out of it, at least. As much as you can for something like that.
I never felt like we were like thrown in. Like we were doing stuff anyway, you know what I mean? Like we've both been on the channel, we've both done news videos before. Like it wasn't like, there's nobody to present stuff. Like we knew, we'd known for ages they were gonna go. We knew we would have to take on a bit more of the responsibility. And yeah, like that week, it was kind of difficult because we sort of had it planned out for how we thought, the best way for us to handle it was going to be. And that was working on a bit of information that perhaps, transpired not to be completely, true. So we had to just sort of like make it up as we went along. But yeah, like people just wanted to know. Like if you go back and you read the comments, the whole problem with it was there was just like a lack of information about stuff, and we were just trying to do our jobs, and people just wanted answers to the many questions that had come up, and we had assumed those questions would be answered and they weren't getting answered, so we just kind of had to sit there and be like, hi, here is a news story about wrestling. Sometimes, boys, I worry that So just said this to Phil on another video we've done. I worry that story about Vince McMahon's fake half brother being written into WWE programming got lost in the shuffle that day. I worry that people don't know about
that. Phil, we got any questions in the comments?
Let's have a look. We've got one about just saying that I came in as Hobo Joe, but do the rest of you have wrestling characters, if you had any? And what would your finishes be?
Well, Simon's wrestling character is himself, and his wrestling finisher is his wrestling finisher.
It causes a lot of problems, as I learned before the pandemic shut the pro wrestling world down. Yeah, I was just me, so that's boring. I'm just Simon Miller. My finisher has been changed about 4 times now, and it got changed again before wrestling in the UK was closed down. So I actually have this badass new finisher to debut. And at the moment, I have nowhere to debut.
Your finish is not the ups and downs anymore.
No, it doesn't work on big guys.
Oh.
Too many people almost got spiked on their heads, and it was like, yeah, we got to change this. So.
Simon, so you can admit that you got rid of that as a mark of respect to me also hosting ups and down shows on the channel.
Yes. I think it is still called the ups and downs. I think it could be called whatever you want it to be, but yeah. When I had my first match back, I have a new finisher, so I'm not going to spoil it. Yeah.
That's good.
Nice teasing.
Phil, obviously you've got experience wrestling, as you alluded to. I think I got scared, not that I ever would be a wrestler anyway, but I got scared away from wrestling even more when me and Miller did a video where he's like, so yeah, I skimmed the top of my head on a mat and look what happened. So I was like, oh yeah, tell me more about that to make me not want to wrestle even more. Clearly your finisher, and I know it's a transitional move for most people, but every time I see it when we're doing a live stream, when I see a sling blade, it's Cleary-esque. So
I never... Not done a single day of training in my life. I do better sling blade than anybody in. I don't know. I think it might be because I'm really light and also quite like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what perfect physical characteristic I have that means that's the one of only 2 wrestling moves I have done in a wrestling ring exceptionally. The other, of course, being the stunner from the many stunner parties we used to do.
I miss stunner parties so much. That was
stunner parties
the best thing.
I had no right to be on any of those, and they were so much fun. I have given a stunner to a British heavyweight champion.
Good.
I remember when I think I mentioned this the other day in that WCPW Defiant thing that I did. I said one of the first things I ever did at WhatCulture, aside from hang around and sort of wait for Adam Cleary to finish writing a magazine for 3 hours, was work built to destroy. And they had a stunner party at the end, and I can't remember who it was, but they were, behind the curtain, and they're like, "Are you going to come out with us?" I was like, "Oh, someone they've never seen just walked to the ring and go, yeah, okay, let's give you a stunner, Prince Amin or whatever." It just would have looked absolutely ridiculous. But that's to my shame. I've never been in a part of a stunner party, so maybe one day.
The thing is, you nearly were. One of the last shows they were doing one in the ring, and me and you, we weren't backstage. We were just outside the barrier, and I was like, we could just go. It's literally, it's like, it's Prince Amin, it's Dave Bradshaw in there. Nobody's going to be like, who are these two? We could just go for it. And you were also, like,
and also, we were like, well, Dave Bradshaw's done the worst stunner I've ever seen, so we got many worse.
It
was
was incredible.
I love those shows.
I'm not going to name any names here. The best thing about stunner parties, because you couldn't plan them in advance. It was just like, we will do one. So there was no discussion about who was taking the stunners and who was giving the stunners. So wrestlers would go out there believing themselves to be like either popular or not popular when the cameras had gone off, which meant that if somebody who perceived themselves to be over then had to receive a stunner, there was a lot of anger afterwards. It was getting those fingers pointed in faces I've seen going, what was that about? Not giving it away with any accents. What was that about? Giving me a stunner. What are you giving me a stunner for? Loving me. Why are you giving me a stunner?
We've got a question from Mr. Phoenix, who's here as well. I've lost it. Where's it gone? He says, never a more deserving bunch of guys. I know I'm not the only one to say you've all helped me through various bad times. Some have even helped my content. Cheap plug, lol. So live it up and down, Simon. Hashtag yay community.
That's nice.
That's very nice. I always like hearing those stories. I find it very overwhelming, but it's always nice to know that you're providing a distraction to someone. That is nothing wrong with it.
It goes both ways as well. Like, we do get a lot of comments, not a lot of comments, but we get enough, a nice amount of comments where people are like, oh, it's really helped me through stuff. And especially over the last 12 months, like, it's been a nice regular thing. And I get up and I watch the news of you guys, and not just on wrestling as well. Like, we get that on the film channels, gaming, like even the more niche stuff like Star Trek and horror. Like, we get that stuff all the time. And I really hope people know it goes both ways. Like, this job, like the camaraderie we get into office is great, but also like the community, the feedback we get, the encouragement, the positivity, like, it is hard doing content. Like, you you hear a lot about creator burnout now, and we're all like, we're all part of that. But we've just been so fortunate to have, a community that is so willing to tell us when they like stuff and so willing to like lift us up when we're struggling with stuff. So we do get through it all mostly because of like stuff like that. So if you're watching the stuff and it's helping you in any way, shape or form to get through a challenging point in your life, like us as well, like you're not alone in that. It's not like, it's not a give thing. It's give and take.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must have that all the time, Miller, in terms of people, with the positivity that you exude. Like I remember hearing someone, I think someone came up to me in Tesco in the midst of the pandemic and said, oh yeah, like I work for the NHS, like I'm working like 18-hour days and I'm listening to podcasts or watching videos or whatever. And I was like, what? But you must get that.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, I do get a lot of it. I wanted to say, yeah, like those comments do go a long way. Like Cleary said, they really, really do, because, I think sometimes you fall into I hate the word the grind, but you do, where you're just making videos. You actually take notice of, the numbers or anything like that. So when someone does say something and you clock it, you're like, oh man, that's really cool. But, for as much positivity as you want to put out there, there's always a few people that don't like it very much.
Oh God.
So yeah, you get the we'll call them the crazies as well. But I genuinely appreciate all comments. If anybody is willing to be that engaged, that they want to come and tell me directly. That's the cool thing about all of this, is that you can upload a video and then within 10 minutes you got somebody calling you, like a moron for some opinion that you have. And it's obviously much nicer when it's a more positive comment. But I enjoy the process massively. And like Adam said, it's the last 12 months, even more so, when we have all been trapped on our houses. Again, you can see my stupid green screen right here. Getting to create all of this nonsense and have a platform to put it on, especially one that's just clocked over 2 million subscribers, it's just nuts. It's really, really nuts. And I feel very, very lucky. That's the other thing, is especially over WrestleMania, everyone's like, oh, Mel, are you not bored of wrestling? And I'm like, look at my job, man. How can you? Yeah. Sometimes you may sit down and be a bit like, I'm not as excited as I was for the one that I watched at the start of the week. But if you had told me, and I'm sure we all feel the same, we were going to be doing this when we were like 13, 14, 15-year-old wrestling fans, you would have just done backflips. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Crazy world created.
The mad thing about it is, if you told any of us when we were 13 or 14, we wouldn't have understood, because this wasn't a job.
Exactly.
Like, 10, 15 years ago.
Wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, like, I know it's so cliche to be like, oh, I just feel so lucky, so #blessed to do this for a living. But like, it is genuine. We are incredibly fortunate, especially look at the four of us. The backgrounds we've all come from are completely different. Like, and we've all wound up in the same company doing, largely sort of the same sort of thing, because it's a completely invented new part of the industry. Like, it's picking up a bit now, but there was no like YouTube degree you could go and do. There was no presenter degree you could go and do. It's pulling skill sets from like so many other jobs and so many other industries. And to be part of this now, if it's in a bubble, if it's peaking, if wherever it goes in the future, it's really exciting. And we are very lucky, because for all we can sit here and be like, yes, we got here because of skills and purely because of merit. Like, it's such a small part of the industry. We did have to like look out considerably to land in this exact role.
Oh yeah.
Phil, before we go to the next question, I'm going to just insert a question of my own to these two. Tell me more about the Survivor Series bet with the clown stuff, because I watched that unfold. But tell me more about. I want to pull the curtain a little bit back here between you two, because there was obviously a bit of a war between you guys. And
I just thought
you and I were there watching this unfold on Survivor Series. What would it have been?
2019, yeah.
19, yeah.
It was we do the same show for shows that go out on the same night, that go out on the same day. I just thought it'd be fun to do stuff. Like, the problem is, like, with Miller being in London, there's not as many opportunities to do like fun collaboration things as there are in the office. Like, we can do stuff all the time, like if we're all up here, but like the realities of it mean we've got to be a bit more creative with it, and they kind of do have to sink and swim like completely on their own regardless. So I just thought, let's do something fun. And I thought, you know what it is? I'll take the hit for this. I'm far less likable. I will wear a silly clown costume. But it just... We even try to rig it as well. We even try to rig it by saying like... it can be the combined main roster score versus NXT, because then no way am I going to win. I had it in Amazon. It was in my basket. And then we watched it on the night, and...
The kickoff scared you a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, well, they lost to the kickoff. The one banker they had was on the kickoff, and they lost that. And yet, lo and behold,
I liked it. I love stuff like that, because I lost my sense of shame years ago. Like, I I have no sense of shame. See, when Cleary mentioned it, I was like, yeah, we can definitely do that. Although I didn't think I would lose because, yeah, the odds were so it just didn't seem likely. I should have known we're starting a brand new NXT television show like on the USA Network. Maybe they would have done something like that. But I think it worked out for the best because I actually had, you know, when it comes to ups and downs as well, you're always looking for sort of gimmicks to introduce. I do as a clown. And I spent a lot of time on that costume. At first, I was just going to put on a nose and I was like, no, I'm going all out. I think it took me about, sort of 30 minutes in front of a mirror trying to get it all right. And then trying to get it off is the problem. That's what everyone forgets. It took days, literally days. I kept buying paint under my eyes and stuff. So yeah, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun in the build up to it. Like getting to film the skits and stuff was like, it was quite fun. It's just like we do so many ups and downs. Like I was doing 1 a week. You were doing what, 3 at the time? 4 if there was a pay-per-view, finding something to make them to give them a little bit extra, mostly for the viewer more than us. Like, you know what I mean? Yes. Like it's the same thing over and over, like to give them a little thing to tune in for, a little fun thing at the end. Like it's nice.
I particularly enjoyed the comments because obviously some people watch religiously and some people sort of dip in and out, and the people would be like, sorry, why is he dressed as a clown? It's a bit like Phil when we used to do the punishments on the streams, and then it'd be like, right, I'm just going to be topless for this news. People like, sorry, I'm just like someone's been suspended or whatever, and you're topless for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I'm quite glad we got rid of that idea.
Probably for the best.
The gamer Odin also says, happy to hang out with you boys on a quiet, boring work day. Thanks for all that you do. Wrestling is more enjoyable with y'all's input.
Oh,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I just remembered the flashback to dressing as Bret Hart and walking across the Tyne Bridge.
God, that was a cold day.
We should probably at some point talk about how we try to massively refocus what the channel is about. And I think genuinely that Bret Hart thing, the walking through Newcastle in -2 degrees, like that was genuinely kind of like a major turning point for us as a company, because that was us still trying to do the kind of content that the lads had done before they're gone, because it was like do the bets, do the punishments. It's kind of what the audience is into, and we tried doing them and just we weren't as good as them. Like our stuff wasn't
the same. Yeah.
Because the thing is, they'd done them for so long, they kept having to push the boat out and push the boat out and push the boat out. So by the time we started picking it up, it was like, well, we can't do the cinnamon challenge. We can't just do like a wax thing anymore. Like we couldn't just do a wax. We had to do wax and chop at the same time, which was absolute agony. And we just kind of got like a few shows into it. And we were like, this isn't us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is just so not what we're good at. It's not where our creativity lies. So from there, we've tried to make the channel more of like, we do more news now as a result. We do more commentary. We try to make it more of a industry focused thing, I guess. Whether or not we've been successful at that, I'll let the audience decide. But like the kind of content that like we get from the Michaels, like the kind of insight they provide is stuff that like we never would have done like 3 or 4 years ago. We never would have done like with the old lads. So it's just like that was kind of us realizing this isn't us. Like it's not genuine. It's not what we're good at. We're never going to do this as well as they did it. So we should try and find what we do and do that instead. And I think it's, you know, we're 1 million subscribers further along since then, so I think it's been pretty all right.
What we do is apparently news analysis and rip off British game shows, Phil Chambers.
Quizzes. We never would have done quizzes. We never would have done quizzes back in the day.
I mentioned this as part of the talking about, you know, the behind the scenes secrets stuff when I talked about wrestling catchphrase. But just to clarify from you, Miller, and you, Cleary, you didn't have a bloody clue what was going on when you walked into the studio, did you?
I know I did. And I can say, because I do live down in London, we just came up to Newcastle to shoot a bunch of content. That's all I knew. It's like, Miller, come up and have a bunch of content, which I always enjoy doing. And we were going to do more of before the pandemic struck. And then all of a sudden I was, thrust into this wonderful early 90s atmosphere and world, and it was the best thing ever.
You guys haven't seen it yet, but we have in the office. We have been busy. Many things have been busy over the last 12 months. We now have light up programmable game show podiums with buzzers built in.
Yeah,
when we can get in here, this is exclusive for anybody watching this video. When we get in here, we've got a huge new studio. We can have as many people as we want with buzzers with their names on that light up, that flash, that make noises. Oh, I cannot wait.
I still have no idea, because Catchphrase is like such a weirdly British show. Like, is there an American version of it? Did that translate at all to a foreign audience? Or is that just us playing into a weird little niche?
One thing we have got, we've been working on this for another channel other than wrestling, but we've got like a Family Fortunes version coming up, but with like the massive light up screen with like our survey says, and it's all already programmed in. Honestly, the stuff we are going to do here, once we can all get in together, it's unbelievable. Also, one important thing we're going to do, Simon, is we're going to stop getting you to come up for one day and then sending you back. Because what happens is you have to get on a train at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you get here and you're knackered all day, and all the comments are like, wow, that guy, look at him, look at his face, I knew it, he hates all these guys, look how tired and sick of he is.
I think they just came up with that rhetoric anyway, because it's that classic thing where somebody says it once and then somebody reads it. It's like, have you seen this whole Samoa Joe revelations the last few days about how when he did that crazy bump against Sting in TNA, for years, everyone has said he broke his tailbone. And no one ever actually asked Samoa Joe. And the other day they asked him, I didn't break my tailbone. It's all made up. And I just let the rumor fly. It's one of those. One person said, he doesn't like them. It's like, I'm not sure how that would work in any. And also, I like everybody. That doesn't even mean anything.
Look at this. Can we just focus on what a skirt round the question that actually is? I never say anything. I like everybody.
No. What I mean is that I don't. Even if somebody looked at me and thought that guy doesn't like someone, it's like you don't understand the realm of Miller. But no,
I'm still not hearing. I really like you guys, but I
don't like you guys. I love you guys. You are my brothers. Obviously, my brothers in arms. And I've always said this about WhatCulture too, is that it's like. I mean, 99.9% of it is awesome, but there's always those 0.1%. When there's been those tiny backlashes in the past and stuff. And it's so much easier to cope with when you have a bunch of people around you, because you deal with it together, and that makes it so much better, especially because the internet sometimes can lose its mind over things that they misconstrue. So, and I've always really enjoyed that. I've always really enjoyed, like you said, the camaraderie, the friendship, and I actually think it's cooler that we can make it work, hundreds of miles down the road. And then, like you say, when we can get going again, absolutely. I think that was the plan, to come up in bigger chunks and get more in-house content done, which is something that will be awesome that we can do as soon as we're allowed to travel and do whatever the hell we used to do back in the olden times.
I find it weird, like you say, with the comments and stuff, that it actually translates to when you step out of the door. I find that I've sort of this disconnect of like, someone calls you a knobhead on Twitter or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay. But then you're like, oh, those people could actually bump into me. One question I want to ask you, all three of you, start with you, Miller. Where's like the weirdest place you've been recognized as like, WhatCulture?
Is this before you answer, have you deliberately asked this to stitch me up?
I haven't.
You know my answer to this.
I've realized what the answer is, but I swear that was completely accidental.
Right.
No one will believe this, and I say that because I don't believe it. I'll never get my head around this, and it kind of sums me up as a person. I was driving. I think it's what made it so cool as well. So I was driving to a wrestling show, an independent wrestling show, to wrestle. So I'm already quite, happy. This is ages ago now. I'm in London. I'm in my crappy little old woman car that I drive, as everybody always says when they see it. Why are you driving an old person's car? It's like really nice. And it was summer. I had the window down. I pulled up at a pair of traffic lights, and somebody, no joke, in the car next to me wound down their window and went, "Are you Simon from WhatCulture?" And I looked at them thinking it was going to be a mate or something like that. And it wasn't. It was just some random dudes. And I was like, yes, I am. They were, we really like ups and downs. And they just drove off. Did that happen, or did I just sort of make this up so I could tell a story? But no, it truly did happen, because my girlfriend was in the car at the time, and she was like, I'd only been seeing her a few months, and she was like, "Who are you?" I don't know. This doesn't happen all the time. So yeah, that was really, really cool. And it really, really made me so happy for ages, because those interactions always do. How can they not, right? Like, somebody cared enough to not only realize it's you, but also I want to say hello. So yeah, that was the best. Well, they're all the best, but that was the craziest one.
I'll go mine, because it's not going to be as good a story as Cleary's, so we'll bookend this. But my, like, you expect, when you go to like WrestleMania and stuff, you get it all the time, but you kind of expect it almost, not kind of to the point that it gets, because you're like, oh my God, this is crazy and humbling when you're like surrounded by that many people. But just in like H&M in Newcastle, just some random kid, and like sent his mum over to ask me because he was too nervous to come over. And then she was like, will you take a selfie with him? I was like, yeah, sure. It was just like, this is amazing. Absolutely bizarre.
It's weird when we went out for a drink, socially distanced, wear masks, etc. For a drink the other night, me, Phil, and Cleary, and just someone. It's been so long that we've been outside, and someone just went,
Lot of it.
"What culture?" And we were like, "Who are they talking? Oh, they're talking yours. Oh yeah, okay." Go on then, Cleary.
Right, so I was on holiday in Prague, right, which is weird enough in the first
This is
place.
good already.
I should clarify. I have one friend who I will not name who just loves more than anything in the world a titty bar. Right, that's all he wants in life. We went to Vegas. We've been all over the world. There's a little group, me and my mates from school, 4 of us. We're still not about together. We always go on holiday together. And he just loves titty bar. Doesn't want to throw money away, and it just wants to just like stick his head in every now and then, usually on the way home. So we're having this night out in Prague, and we're walking past, and there's this girl handed out flyers, and she's like, "Boys, the boobies, boys, the boobies, boys." And he's like, "Oh yeah, can we just nip in?" I was like, "Oh, it's like 2 a.m. We've been out all day. I've caught the sun because I always catch the sun." He's like, "No, I just want to go in for one drink." So we go into this downstairs basement strip club, or as he calls it, a titty bar in Prague. And we're in there for a couple of minutes, just having a drink. And there's this Scottish lad getting a lap dance. And he just throws this woman off his lap and goes, "That's WhatCulture! Yes, WhatCulture!" Yeah, and he grabs me and he goes, "You done this? You got WhatCulture here!" It turns out it was his stag do. And he genuinely thought the stag had got me there to do like a surprise appearance for his stag do.
That's brilliant.
But
That is excellent.
As well as my mate who loves titty bars, I've got a mate who's very un-internet literate. Like he never knows what any memes are, anything like that. And we're left, and we got upstairs, and we've been talking, like him and all his mates for a while. They got a load of drinks. We're knocking about with them, and as we're left, he just went, "So where do you know that boy from then?" I was like, "Oh, I just think he watches the channel, Nick." And he goes, "Oh, right. That's weird, isn't it?" So it is a bit, yeah. Thanks.
That's great.
I'm not kidding. He nearly killed that stripper. Honestly, he must have thrown about 5 foot across the room.
Phil, what other questions have we got?
Yeah, we've got a bunch. Mr. Phoenix is back just saying, also thanks to all the pay-per-view live streamers of WhatCulture who put up with my A community, bollocks. Big sexy hugs from Canada. Please do a live show here. I would love to do more of the WhatCulture live shows. That was so much fun. But it was such a weird anomaly, that one, where they just kind of Stand Up NY just contacted us kind of out of nowhere. Like, it's WrestleMania weekend. Do you guys fancy putting on a show? And we were like, yes, yes, we do.
That was awesome, yeah.
We would genuinely, the discussion was hard about doing more live shows prior to the world collapsing. We would love to do some.
Yeah, you'd like, you know, it doesn't have to be, we've said before, like you say, if, you know, Raw is in Manchester or London,
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yeah,
AEW,
we'd love to
just,
do that.
you know, obviously AEW is going to bring bloody Fyter Fest last year, and then
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, we'd love to. The fact that people showed up, we were pretty proud of, to be honest.
Honestly, I remember going into the office about 3 or 4 days after we'd announced it, and Phil, you just came up to me and went, "Tickets are sold out," and I was like, "Tickets for what have sold out?" He was like, for our New York show. I was like,
That was nuts.
"What?"
It was then we went, we should probably figure out what we're going to actually
Yeah, we had no idea. Absolutely no plan.
But see,
It's good
it's stuff like that's just so cool because that's like a famous stand-up joint. You know what I mean? Like a load of famous.
Jerry Seinfeld's done that. It's all
Yeah, well, that's what I
like.
tell people. I now tell people I have performed my first ever stand-up gig on the same stage as Jerry Seinfeld. I'll be buried with that, man. And all because we do this. So yeah, absolutely awesome.
Absolutely.
and a quick nod as well to Adam Cleary, who was like, "Okay, so I'll go on after Simon Miller. Okay, here we go. Thank you very much."
We're gonna put the live show up this week as well, so you'll see this. But I genuinely thought it was genius because I pretty much booked the show. Like I worked out what would go where, I worked out how would fill time, what the running order would be. Asked people if they could do like certain shows, and I was like, right, I got a bit of a luxury here because I could position myself anywhere on the show I want to. So I thought, right, don't go out first. Obviously, like we know Miller's a big draw, just give them Miller. That'll get the thing off to a real 5-star. So I'll put Miller out, and then once everyone's like proper, like so full of love for Miller, then I'll go out and I'll just scoop it all up. And then of course we had WrestleMania the day before, and I heard the crickets that Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio got following the Kofi Kingston win, and I was like, oh god, I've made a huge mistake. But no, to be fair, it was brilliant. Like genuinely, the crowd were amazing.
It's one of my highlights. It really, really was. Like I know that it's completely skewed because we had a built-in audience that were just happy to do whatever. But I did come off that stage so buzzing. I was like, I'm gonna do more stand-up.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do it now.
No exaggeration. Like right now, I would say that's if not top 1, top 3 all-time professional highlights in any job.
Absolutely. I loved
it. The whole time we spent there, it genuinely feels it's dreamlike, mainly because we didn't really sleep that much. Like, go back, and I think it's still one of our most listened to podcasts ever, obviously because it's a WrestleMania review one, but it's me, Cleary, and Nicholas all trying to stay awake after the rest of the day. Which had gone on for like 8 hours, and then we'd been outside MetLife for about 4, trying to get home, and desperately. I still remember Jules being on the phone to an Uber driver who we didn't get. I can't remember. Nicholas always remembers the name. Mandeep, who saved us, was someone before that. And Jules was like, don't do this to me.
Don't you dare do this to me. It was amazing. Honestly, I'd love to go back and listen to that bit, because I do genuinely fall asleep in that podcast, but just for a second. And I when your head goes like that. I did that into an answer, and I answered the question correctly. So and the thing is, I was asleep for the question. I was asleep for the rest of the conversation, and my brain just took over. It was like, what was the last word you heard? Yeah, I think it's going to be a big thing for Seth Rollins. I think, obviously, hopefully for me, we can go on and do it.
Him and Cleary and Nicholas are on the bunk bed, and I'm on the chair on the table with the directional mic there. And Cleary starts answering a question with his. I was like, is he? He's on. What's going on here? So there's him doing that. There's him just sort of like. Yeah, well, I think what they need to do next for the WWE Championship is like that. And Nicholas was doing the thing where, when you're like tired and you're like, well, if I keep moving.
Yeah, he just kept moving around, didn't he?
Slapping yourself. That was awful, though, because that was the I can't remember the hell, whenever WWE was taping SmackDown then. Phil will remember this. That's when we did the best live ups and downs ever.
It was such a good show.
Afterwards, even Phil and I were like, holy crap, man, that's going to make for good TV. And then the stupid camera cut half it off for no reason. For no reason. We had to refilm it in a hotel room being all miserable. I don't want to do it.
It was such a good one as well. Like the crowd, there was a big crowd for it, and it was just really good fun. Completely lost, but at least you got the memory.
No reason either. I wouldn't have minded if we had dropped a camera or we had a corrupted memory card. Nope, just went, no, you can only have half of it. Why? I still don't know.
It even survived you two standing outside the Barclays 5 feet away from the dry.
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that. It was raining. It was you were literally you could see the difference in the color in the ground. Like it was bright concrete one side, soaking wet the other, and you two just pitched up 5 yards away from where you wouldn't be getting rained on.
That's what we do.
I mean, honestly, the delirium of that New York trip by the second or third day. We just had not slept. We were jet lagged. Like, I cannot remember eating a single thing other than those 2 for $5 cheesy bacon croissants we got in Dunkin' Donuts. That's the only food I can remember having.
It was that and me, Clary, and Jules's night off, where someone attacked Bret Hart and then entering. We had an argument. We had like a WhatsApp argument because the three of us were like, night off. So we went and got like, $1 pizza or whatever that Cleary had found, and it was great. And then we were like, just go to a bar and we'll have like 2 beers and just get an early night or whatever. And I'm not making this sound like something I have a bloody film. We got the beers, didn't we? They plonked them on the bar. Like, Bret Hart's been jumped as part of the whole thing. We're like, we got a report on that. So we go outside, we reported on it. Then we went back in. Then I think we found more info and went out and re-recorded.
Yeah, that was it.
And then we came back in. We did put like napkins on our beers and stuff. Came back in. Oh, well, anyway, here's to the night off.
Cheers, boys.
Until Gaz have jumped the barrier. And then we had an argument because people were like, you need to report on this. And we're like, you're there. Why don't you report on it?
Yeah. I remember that. I remember how because all we wanted in the whole world was this one beer. And we'd been served it. Hadn't yet had a sip of it. We'd been and done one news video. Then we've been in, picked it up to our lips again, not had any, gone back out, reshot the news video. And then everyone who was at the Madison Square Garden was like, yeah, can you guys just do a quick other video on? I was like, no, you are there. You just find an alleyway and do it. We want this beer. It's our night off.
I started that trip getting thrown into a car boot by some kind of crazy lobster monster. So it was a really good fun trip.
Oh, God, you had the kaiju stuff as well.
The kaiju show.
Kaiju, yeah.
That was another thing that we were going to do. You were going to wrestle as a monster in a kaiju show.
I was going to say, we may as well tell it now, given that it's been a year. But yeah, we had a deal with the Big Battle Kaiju guys that we could all get into costumes for WrestleMania 36 weekend. And then, I could bump myself around and you guys were going to come out and help me. And then that got killed as well.
Yeah.
That, the Sami Callihan death match. Damn you, pandemic.
One day.
But
Anyway, I've got a bunch of comments I need to get through. The baseman Jeff says, Simon, when did you go bald? Also, I love your work on Rock Reacts.
Oh, Rock Reacts was
Rock Reacts.
I
That's been
watched
dead for about 18 months.
I used to love that.
Thank you. When did I go bald? I went bald at 20. Well, I started going bald about 27, 28, but I shaved it just before my 30th birthday. So like 29. Yeah, that's as far as that story goes. I can't give you any more information.
I saw that photo of you on the retro ups and downs for WrestleMania 24, was it?
Oh yeah. With my my glorious locks. Although I never really knew what I was doing with my hair anyway, even when I had hair. So it's because somebody said to me the other day that they're doing one of those, would you rather, and it was something like, be massively jacked or, grow your hair back. Because I don't care about my hair anymore. Like it's one of those things that as soon as you do it and you get used to it, you're just like, man, what was I even? I was worried about it for years. But now it's just, I think I will say, without wanting to get way too off track, it is easier to be a bald man now than it was like 25 years ago. Because if you shaved your head, you're like, oh, thug. But nobody thinks that anymore. So.
This is one for you, Cleary, I guess, from Fluffy Mania, who says, am I still the only fan to ever get the golden jacket for my NXT sign with the jacket and Caden Carter?
Jane, you know what it is? Do you know what it is? My mother, God bless her, lost her mind over that because she knows everything about what we do. She knows all this. Like she once had, without giving away too much identifiable information, there is an element of my surname on her car registration. And she came out of Tesco once to find 3 kids hanging around the car. And they were like, oh, sorry, we thought it was this YouTube guy. And she was like, oh, yeah, it's my son. And they were like, oh, my God. No. What blew her mind the most, though, was that somebody in Florida made a sign for a thing I came up with and took it to a show. So, yes, you're the only person who ever got the yellow jacket on NXT Ups and Downs, and you made my mother's day.
Undead, is it Undead FB GGEW? I don't know. Says, hi guys, congrats on the 2 mil. Thanks for being part of getting me through shielding.
Yeah, Undead had a rough ride. I've talked to Undead a few times. She had a rough ride. She always said nice things. She's a good person. Good person is Undead. Glad to help out however we could.
Where am I?
Shouting catchphrases, and they're just like, yeah, great, I love it. I can't believe that people are like, that's what I really need to get me through it. It's like, okay, great, happy to help.
Whatever works, right? Whatever works. A bunch of idiots shouting about wrestling.
Red Lantern 161 says, hi guys, WhatCulture charades champion here, love the content. Is Billy Bloody K getting cut? Another case of people taking advantage of their minimal airtime and still getting cut. P.S. Can I get a shout out for my 31st birthday?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. In fact, you know what we should do? He's raised a good question here that we should probably start actioning this. What are there, like 600-700 people watching right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I've not got that thing up.
We are about to announce here at WhatCulture that we are taking the next steps as a company, that we are pushing forward. We are breaking down boundaries. We are looking to expand. And there is currently a position going on the wrestling channel because we're all just boring men here at the minute. We are absolutely desperate for some female representation. And I can think of nobody better than Billy Kay to take up that job. Everybody watching this video right now, I beg you, I implore you, please tweet Billy Kay and ask her to apply to work at WhatCulture.
or just one video would be fine.
Look, she hasn't got. Look, I'm not saying she should fly over here and work full time and do the kind of honest graft that myself, Phil, and Wilborn do. She could have a Simon Miller contract.
That is not. I take umbrage with that. I try and give my all. I try.
So don't misunderstand. You do way more.
Yeah.
You do way more than us. We go home at 5 o'clock.
I promise. If we do get her, I'll try and not do the accent.
You are not going within. You are not going within a million miles of that poor woman.
Just like Evan says, thanks, gentlemen, for all the free mental health assistance over the past year. Next time the gang is in Dallas, please do a Q&A meet and greet.
Oh, I'd love to.
I would love to.
We'd love to just be in Dallas full stop, to be honest. But
yeah,
we're over there for a wrestling event. We don't want to overcommit with this stuff, but the New York thing was such good fun and so created so many wonderful memories. If we are en masse in a location to cover an event, we would love. Something would have to physically stop us doing that, I would say.
Yeah. No, totally.
I forgot to mention in the previous question as well. What culture charades? Do you want to remind us of the story that went with that, Phil?
I'll let you tell it. You're on the better side of that.
We're going to try and do it again. Like Clary says, when we hopefully get into this new office, we'll be able to do more of that sort of thing. And I think we want to do more of a live sort of like these sort of things, interactions, whether it be with news or, you know, like when we did the live Q&A on the channel for a while. And you started doing it on like weekly or daily or whatever. And it was me, Cleary and Nicholas. And obviously, I think it was a day you were off actually, Phil. And I'd always forget and go, Phil, I've forgotten again, mate. Can you just set up the thing for like 5 o'clock UK time or whatever? So he set it up and then he'd take, as we saw earlier, Salty Sea Dog for a walk. And for whatever reason, I don't know, technical reasons, blah, blah, blah. It's something happened and we lost all audio.
See, the problem with this as well is because I was living on a boat at the time, the only internet I could get was through my phone. So I had to leave the phone on the boat to run the stream with the internet, so no one could get in contact with me.
So we couldn't even the only thing we could have done is just left. So it would have just been like the background that we were on.
Yeah, we couldn't even turn the stream off as well.
Couldn't turn it off. So we decided to do wrestling charades with I think the best one was the Superman
Superman watch was amazing.
That Nicholas did with the towel behind him or whatever it may be.
Yeah. It was good.
I think that's thinking on your feet. I think
it was. I gotta say, I can't remember what the numbers were. Obviously, a lot of people who hadn't taken leave of their senses thought, "I'm not watching this," and left. But quite a good number of people stuck because we put in the chat like, "We're just going to do wrestling charades now. Best of luck, everyone." Quite a lot of people, a good couple of hundred, stuck around to watch it, and it was just. What a job! What a job!
How was your day at work, dear? Oh, I just did this. Yeah.
I do enjoy that though. I do enjoy sometimes when someone, you know, what was the worst part of your day? The amount of answers that come out of your mouth. It's like, oh, somebody told me to kill myself or something. It's just like it's a strange life.
Mike Nameas says, how much longer can AEW keep bringing in talent and still keep everyone doing something? Makes me think of early 2000s WWE or mid 2000s TNA.
A wrestling question?
A wrestling question.
At 4
on a wrestling channel.
47 minutes. Yeah, got one.
Indefinitely. I'd say, I think me and Sid were talking about this today on a podcast. I think on the No, it was on. It's going on a podcast that will come out later on. It's another Q&A podcast that we did with some Twitter questions, and we both agreed that's it now until next year. I think I don't see, unless something major happens. You know, Daniel Bryan's contract runs out in September. I'd sincerely doubt they'd turn down the chance to sign him, but I don't think they'll sign anyone else for till 2022, in my opinion. What do you think, Miller? You watch it on a regular basis as well.
The thing is, I do understand I have a very weird way of looking at wrestling, but the reason I never mind people being hired is because I always think about it from their point of view.
Yeah.
How awesome is it that you just got a job with AEW? So while it's always good to have, healthy debate, is it too many people? It would never, some people get really sort of, as they're perfectly allowed to, get quite worried about what they're going to do. But, you want to be on the bench. You can't get in the game unless you're on the bench, and you don't want to overstock your bench, of course. But at the moment, I don't think it's an issue. There are certain guys that I would like to see featured more, and maybe that is sort of them having an expanded roster. But at the same time, I find it really hard to sit here and go, I don't want a wrestler to have a job, especially in AEW now, given they do have so much momentum. And it's the same with WWE. Like, it's not exclusive. So that's always the way that I think about it from a human being mentality. And if they do have this second show coming as well, which we have no idea what it is, plus they have 2 massive YouTube shows, maybe once fans do start letting back in the building, they will just sort of balance it all out and it'll all be okay. So I never mind them hiring anybody. I mean, there would obviously be some number where you're like, well, it's just ridiculous now. But look, them doing that has allowed them to completely rebuild faction warfare. And I have missed faction warfare in groups for a long ass time. So yeah, I'm actually, it doesn't bother me at the moment. Doesn't mean again that there's not a number, but it's all good with me.
My only 2 cents on this is I think people think about the WCW comparisons when it was 2 companies on an equal footing who were going up and down with each other in the ratings, and people moved ship all the time and eventually overstocking one sank it. I think AEW comes from a different place than that, where it's people who have sat and watched wrestling for the last 15, 20 years, very frustrated with talent being underutilized and things not being realized, to the point where you could conceivably have the entire AEW roster made up of people you've seen on WWE and it never feel like a WWE show, because of just how different the products are. I think if somebody's good enough and they're going to add value to that company and there's a program they can put them in, I don't think it matters where they've worked before.
Gonna do some quick fire to get through some of these. Mr. Phoenix is back saying, I know this is for the wrestling channel, but I'd pop for a Bond or Gone with the Wind rant from Cleary. # very specific fandom.
God, no. He's the worst spy in the world. He's the worst spy in the world. He tells people his name. He's the worst spy in the world. I can't get away with James Bond films. And they're absolutely awful. They're so flawed as a premise.
Miller, what's a popular film that... Sorry, Phil, I will let you do quick fire in a second. Miller, what's a popular film or film franchise? I think Lord of the Rings is boring. So what do you dislike, Miller?
Oh man, I mean, there's going to be loads, and because there's loads, nothing will come up. Well, I mean, this isn't that much of a controversial opinion. I think the last 2 Matrix movies are an abomination to mankind. The second, I've only walked out of 2 films in my entire life in the cinema. One was Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Why?
The other was the second Matrix movie, when they started talking to me in like some bizarre code language. I was like, I don't care about this, and I just left. But I know some people do. It's kind of weird. Some people love them, some people are like mad. But yeah, those 2 movies I can't stand.
My position on the 2 Matrix sequels is it's a shame they never did any Matrix sequels.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. 100% there. Yeah.
The third one is the only film I've ever fallen asleep to in the cinema.
There you go. You see, it doesn't make any sense. So there's probably another one. I do agree with you. That Lord of the Rings third film that's got 22 endings.
On with it.
That's a difficult slog.
Scott Telford have had a lot of arguments in the office about that. Mainly because he doesn't realise that Mission Impossible is the greatest film franchise of all time. So.
Before we get into that, CJ Hinch has booked a card for What Culture Mania. He's gone with Miller versus Murray in a hair versus hair match. An Adam Battle Royale. The Dudley Boys versus the Saturday News team. Thoughts on the card?
It's good.
Well
good,
booked.
yeah, good.
Also,
double main event, you'd say.
And you'll definitely live up to that hair stipulation. You'll definitely...
I'm not a grass. I'm not a grass or anything, but somebody on that card who's fairly well positioned by the sounds of it did run away from a wasp today.
Dan from Pensacola, Florida, one for Miller, says, hi guys, always wondered when you all had Big E on, did he mention that he or anyone at WWE watch Ups and Downs? Love you guys. You're all awesome.
No, the Big E didn't say anything. I'm going to be not diplomatically correct. I'm going to be as open as I can. Big E did not say anything, so I don't. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Clearly aware of WhatCulture because obviously we interviewed him and worked with him. But I do know at least a few people that watch Ups and Downs who work for WWE through messages that they have sent me. And out of respect for them, I would never say who it is because that was the whole point. They weren't nasty messages. They were perfectly very, very nice and well, charming, I would say, messages. But yes, so there are some people that watch, and I will tell you that is, if you want your mind to be blown and you want to have a moment before you film the next one where you go, oh my gosh, who's actually watching this? That's what you'll do. So yeah.
I can just on a very smaller scale. When I used to do the NXT one, I can confirm that talent absolutely love to watch shows in which they are mentioned in.
Again, why wouldn't they too?
Without naming names, you do occasionally get the odd message from people and be like, "Oh, I love this." So you have to kind of be. Again, it doesn't color your opinion. Like we always call a section bad if it's bad, and more often than not, the messages you get are people going, "Yes, I thought that sucked as well."
It is. No, it's true. Like you always have to be honest and transparent. But I mean, it just gives it. I don't want to say it gives it more importance because that's not true. But I think it opens your eyes into the potential of, who could be looking at it. And I perfectly get it too. Like when I was wrestling again before the pandemic, even if like a random blog came out with a review of a card I was on, I always looked at it. And I remember one said Simon Miller throws the worst clotheslines I've ever seen. And I was like, he's right. I do.
You don't.
Yeah, I totally get it.
And as if I couldn't be any more biased, MJF tweeting Adam Wilborn is the only true wrestling twin.
Alexander Macmillan says, What Culture WWE is one of my favorite YouTube channels out there. My question is, what is your least favorite wrestler's theme song?
Oh God.
Ever.
Oh, that one, the X Factor one by that.
Oh
DJ.
yes,
What was his name?
yes, that's the worst one ever.
Uncle Cracker, that's up there. That used to make me want to turn my television off. It was so
Have you gone back and listened to it since? The way they just dub the word X Factor over
Yeah.
a regular lyric in the
exactly,
song.
yeah. It's awful.
I know
Genuinely.
you hate X Factor. Dreadful, awful.
Zero.
And then
out of 10
coming up,
people.
trying to gas it up by giving it this. Shut up. No,
Oh,
terrible, dreadful.
I nearly had a fight with the missus the other day because I said, God, that Brie mode music sort
Oh.
of awful, isn't it? She said, oh, no, it's great. No, it's
No.
not. It's auto-tuned bollocks is what it
That's
is.
starting. Yeah, I agree with that one as well.
Anima Master says, I wish all the Adams were here, but anyways, boys, which Adam could you agree is the most charismatic and which one is the most handsome? Most handsome Adam.
Nicholas is the most handsome by a mile.
Yeah.
He's the piece of peace.
Does have terrific hair.
Yeah. Easy
He can
peasy.
do anything. Like since we worked with him, he's had like medium length hair, shaved head,
Yeah.
long hair.
Yes,
Full
yeah,
head.
it's true.
It's
Yeah.
not fair.
Short beard, tight beard, long beard, gimmicky beard. Just gets away with it all.
Doesn't matter.
Just-
Effortless.
Quits drinking for a year, just nails it. It's just like it's unfair. It's not what you're not allowed to. What? It's not right.
Mr. Phoenix is back, just saying my lunch break is almost done. So one more time, much love, much respect, and thanks so much for everything you do. Thank you,
Very
Mr.
welcome.
Phoenix.
Genuinely very welcome.
And by the way, Mr. Phoenix is one name on a long old list that I've still got on my little Slack thread to myself of
We'll get
all of the
there.
prize winners since presumably Phil since lockdown started.
Yep.
We haven't been able to do anything with
We are
them.
quite behind.
I started off as like a little note, and now it's like an entire page of my Slack is just prize winners from the live stream. So we promised you, if you watched, WrestleMania 36 with us and won the boss battle, we still know, and we're still going to get stuff out. Yeah, we'll get there eventually.
Shane Harrison says, what advice would you give to someone possibly wanting to work for a company like WhatCulture in the future?
Oh, this is. I don't want to sound like a buzzkill on this, but of the four of us, I probably handled recruitment more than the rest. All I can say is, if you look at something and think, "Ooh, that's a dream job," because I love to do that stuff in my spare time, you've got the wrong mindset already. Like, yeah, you need the passion, you need the enthusiasm. You cannot do this job without that kind of thing. But I think a lot of people get really discouraged by like how much actual work it is. Like if you watch people present on YouTube and you think, "Oh, I'd love to do that," what an actual percentage of the job is standing in front of a camera and doing fun things versus what percentage of the job is like understanding the industry, doing research for your articles, honing your scripts, fine tuning things, like going through analytics to find good ideas and stuff. Like the stuff you see, the actual bits you get to read and consume, that's amazing. We love doing that, but there's so much hard work goes in behind the scenes for that. That's kind of the stuff you have to be really enthusiastic about all of that stuff, not just the whole like, "Hey guys, I'm on YouTube" side.
Yeah,
it's true. It's a perfect answer.
And also, I would say as well, you need to be able to, on those days where you cannot be bothered in the slightest, to still present with enthusiasm and with like energy, because that's what people want to see at the end of the day. They need that to make the medium work. And the days when you'll know yourself, like if you've never even done anything like this, some days you will wake up and you will just think, "I cannot be bothered." With whatever your job is, you have those days. You get them in every line of work, but you still have to then go on camera and be like, "Right, let's talk about that really awful wrestling show that I just sat through 3 hours of."
And as Miller said as well, you do have to be quite thick-skinned because you will just, especially early on, because you do your first video or you're on social media or whatever, and you'll see that one comment, and if you suddenly go, "Oh, I've got to change everything I do," you'll never win.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and I think that's probably sometimes early on the hardest, is because I remember when I joined, everybody hated me. Woo! They hated
I remember those comments.
yeah, but it was okay. It was okay because I was ready for it, right? I was just like, I'm not going to take this seriously. But Adam, you made the best point, is that not only do you not have to not let it affect you mentally, you have to not let it affect you when it comes to your opinions and stuff, because otherwise nobody will ever buy into what you're saying, because they know you're just going with the, well, sometimes not even with the curve. You may have just seen around because someone was so vitriolic about what they said. You may think, "Oh, this is what everybody thinks." You say it, and then you actually read the comments on whatever platform you have, and you've got it totally wrong, which is why you always have to be honest no matter what you think. But yeah, there's most people that jump into anywhere that has somewhat of a platform, if they don't know you at first,
Oh, God.
you're going to get flamed, and you just got to ride it out. It's got to be you, and you got to ride it out. But it's not easy. It can be quite hard. So yeah, basically all those things together, and it doesn't mean that it's not an awesome job. But yeah, I think like Cleary said, it's that you don't see all those bits because why would you? It's not something that's going to be highlighted because it'd be really strange if you
Yeah,
showed,
like
showed all this stuff.
It is. We are, again, I said this at the start. We are so fortunate to have this job, and like we are so lucky to do this for a living. But it is still a job, and you do have to go through all the same stuff you do with any other job. Like you've got to be able to like face it when you can't be bothered, and you've got to be able to take the knockbacks and stuff. And like when you start on something with a platform, the response is usually, even if it is overwhelmingly largely positive, there are people who are really keen to tell you don't deserve that position and you're no good at it. So probably the most important thing to do is be able to like take pride in your own work for your own sake.
Yep.
Like
And
to be able to look at something and think, I'm happy with that. I'm really proud of that, because then the stuff you get doesn't undermine you. It doesn't affect your confidence. You just sort of know, like, you know what, I'm proud of that. Regardless of what people think about the job I'm doing or whatever, like I know that I put a lot of work into that. I know that I'm really proud of that. And that's all that matters.
And be able to filter between the people that are just being mean because they're mean, but also the people that are actually making a good point.
Yeah, that's it as well.
I joked about that clothesline thing earlier, and the dude was right though, and that's what made it sort of stung even more. It wasn't a sting because I was like, oh, that's mean. It was, no, he's got a point. So you need to have your ears open. It's that classic wrestling thing, right? You got to make sure that you're in tune with the audience, otherwise, people aren't going to watch. So, and that can be hard sometimes, especially like when you do wake up and you're just having a bad day, and you got to take all this stuff on as well. So yeah, there's a lot to it, but it's still pretty much one of the best things ever. So
oh god, yeah, absolutely.
One for Wilbur on this from Matt Rains. He says, "Morning, gents, long-time fan. How insufferable is Michael Hampphilip? That's all. Thanks, guys. Congrats again."
Not at all. Block him.
The feud that will never ever end. I believe Matt Rains on night 2 of WrestleMania actually extended the olive branch.
Yeah,
and
shot down by Hampphilip.
Firmly snapped it in half. Yeah. I'll not have a bad word said against either of the Dudley boys. A lot of what I have to do each week is just make notes on what happened and then go, what do you think, Dudley? So knowledgeable about it all. And as Cleary alluded to earlier, half the stuff we do when it's like these top 10 lists or, ranking stuff like that, a lot of that is based off what, if not just directly lifted from what they've done. It's just me rabbiting their opinions almost. So yeah, they're great. And
just on the Dadleys really quickly, I know we touched on it before. I cannot say strongly enough, if you've watched the channel since like pre-2017, if you've been here the whole time, or even if you're new to it, how much they changed what we do and how much they are responsible for the current success of the channel, because we didn't have, like, none of us were particularly blessed as like wacky comical entertainers. We didn't have these huge individual audiences who were here just for us at the time. Like, look, I know we're sitting here with Simon Miller now. At the time, like none of us really had that kind of like cult of personality to fall back upon. And what we did have was their knowledge base and their incredible insight and their ability to really analyze wrestling and to really articulate these really interesting opinions. And that's forced the rest of us to sort of raise our game to as close to that level as we can get. It changed the kind of freelancers we started working with. It changed the kind of direction of a lot of the articles. And like, we've all worked our asses off for this, like everybody behind the scenes, in front of the camera. But like, there was a distinct possibility things could have gone really badly after 2017. Like, we lost a hugely important part of our staff and a hugely important part of what we do. Like, there's alternate timelines not dissimilar from this one where it just didn't work out. And the wrestling channel is such a huge part of the company as a whole. That would have been disastrous. But like, we owe them to, in particular, and Andy as well, because he came in and did similar thing with sort of the news. We owe them to so much.
And
for where we are now,
who aren't on the channel that much, occasionally pop up, but don't get the recognition. Like people like Benjamin Richardson, I always
I don't think people don't realize like how big the team is and how much work goes in.
I want to second that as well, because it is machines to, it's not the right word, but there's so many parts to it. It's crazy, and it doesn't work without any of them. You take one part out and all of a sudden it goes completely off course. It is a team effort, which goes back to what we talked about earlier. That's why I love it so much. I think that's the best way to always work, when everyone's always trying to help out everybody else. you know, I think without that, it doesn't get the same success.
And I hope I'm not pulling the curtain too far back here, but I don't think what we did with Big E would have been possible without Michael Hamflett, because Michael Hamflett knows the guy who does the gear for New Day. He's working with him on that brilliant All Heroes Rock project. And then that's how, you know, we got put in contact with E.
Yeah.
So without him, we might not have had him with the interview and the stuff he's done on the channel. So yeah, massive thanks to the dad.
Just to go back to that question, what advice would you give to somebody who wanted to get into this? It's realize very quickly that it is not about the presenter.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people see YouTube stuff and they see personalities and they think, I would love to do that. Like, the support you require to do that as a full-time job, like the infrastructure that has to be behind you in terms of writing staff, editing staff, just having other people around you to bounce ideas off, like, it's so important. It's a team thing. And at the end of the day, like, this company was in a position where we had such a strong team that we lost 4 huge presenters. And it just kept on going. Like, we were able to survive that. We were able to sort of like find new directions to go in, and because we had the breadth of talent behind the scenes to make that possible.
Yeah, absolutely actual quickfire this time to get through these at the end. Not your kind of crazy ass quickfire, whatever that was.
It's an important question. I wanted to put them over a bit.
Pimpin Prez says, much love and power to you guys. You help me get through working from home every day. So thank you very much for that. Mind Runner says, which wrestling is harder to cover due to the time difference, American wrestling or Japanese wrestling?
Oh no, Japanese wrestling's easy.
It's in the morning.
You wake up, you watch it in the morning. No, American wrestling definitely.
AEW in particular, because they put even shows on even later than WWE.
Yeah, they're the hardest. They're by far the hardest. Planet Dan says, your vids and podcasts are always part of my day. Watching you all has made me aspire to work at WhatCulture alongside you. I feel proud that you are based here in my hometown. And any advice? I guess that plays into the last question.
Did he ask that before we answered all that? Because we probably put him off now.
He did, yeah. Hannah B just says, I want to say thank you I want to say that I'm forever thankful for WhatCulture for rekindling my love for wrestling and helping me find friends for life. Here's to celebrating your success. Also, hello to Cleary especially.
Oh, is that Hannah? What oh man. Yeah. Hannah's a certifiable legend.
Oh.
What else we got? Barton Keys says, no question, folks. Just a massive thank you for getting me through various lockdowns and recent sleepless nights I've had with my newborn daughter.
Well, no answer, but a thank you back.
Imagine that, just finally getting her off to sleep. There we go. Just listen to the last bit of that podcast.
Artemis Owens says, handicap match between all the Simons at WhatCulture versus Walter, son of Goldberg. Who wins?
Well, all the Simons.
There's only one
I know, yeah, there's only one Simon now.
Well, no, not me.
It's a handicap match.
Clearly, that's a stupid question.
Mind Runner says, thanks, cheers to you lads. Thank you all for making being a wrestling fan so much fun. Between you all and AEW, I am back to watching wrestling since quitting in 2003. Also, how are things with Haku?
Good.
All good.
Right now, not at the time. Now, fine.
I just remember thinking around to say, like, because we just filmed Phil, we just just filmed an interview with him.
It was so nice.
Yeah, he said nice.
An outro to a video, and I felt like being like, Haku, it's me. Remember this? Oh no!
That's why I love that story so much, because in many ways, even though I almost got killed, he must have thought you were the worst because you were all nice to him, and then he thought you were part of this gang that was destroying his son's party.
Double cross. Artemis Owens also did another comment just saying, I screwed that up. I meant all the Adams versus Walter and Simon.
Even then, though, surely the answer's Walter, yeah? I won't talk on behalf of you, but...
Oh, Michael Hamflett could eat me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, I don't think people appreciate this because of the angle we film things at, but Hamflett is a unit. Like, if he had a mean bone in his body, you would have none in yours.
Good line. You can be his Heyman.
Yeah.
Mecha Tamago says, Simon, you are my gym inspiration. Can you give cardio a golden up?
Yeah, no, cardio's awful. You should do it. It's really important for you.
Cardio's the only exercise I do.
Yeah.
No, you should do it, but I can't go back on my beliefs. I do it, but I hate it. But yeah, good. I'm glad that don't not do it is what I'm saying. It's important. That's very kind as well. That one blows my brain even more, but that's a whole other mental side of my brain we don't need to get into it, but that genuinely means a lot. So thank you.
Anime Otaku, I'll let you do this one, Cleary. Given how stacked the NXT women's division is and the main roster talent that you would make of it, what would you make of it, if WWE just replaced NXT with an all-women's wrestling show?
I've actually pitched this. There have been episodes of NXT that are covered on Ups and Downs where the women's segments were either excellent but rushed, or just not given the time they deserved. And they were filling them with like absolutely dreck, awful segments and pointless filler matches with the men. I've genuinely pitched in the past, just make NXT a women's show, or just make a separate women's show. Like the talent they've got on there is unbelievable. It's the one product WWE has where they can actually come up with storylines for women that aren't just, I want the shiny thing or I want that man.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they do those too because it still is WWE, but they have done other ones.
Ryan Cagebean says, what was Simon's reaction to doing a death match with Sami Callihan, and do you think we'll see it once the pandemic clears up?
Well, there's two answers to this. In the world of kayfabe, terrified, scared, oh my gosh, Sami Callihan's going to kill you. In my real life, couldn't have been more excited. Probably like when it all came together was the most excited I've ever been about anything. So when it got canned, I was pretty devastated. But again, there was a lot of far worse things going on in the world. So you quickly, get that kick up the rear. But do I think it will happen again? Yes, I do. I don't know when. Probably not till next year, I would guess, because we're going to have to wait things to balance out. But as far as I know, and I think Phil, you'll agree, Sami is still keen. We're confident.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's just about finding the right time and the right place. That was just the right time and the right place. But if I have it my way, 100%, yes.
I had a question about this, Simon, because I remember it being advertised as a WhatCulture death match.
I know.
Did that mean that like me and Wilborn were legal to use as weapons?
Yes, that meant everybody. You were going to have to help me because
all elbows me. I'll be great. Yeah.
I know what some of the weapons were, and I won't reveal it because I don't want to give it away now in case it happens. But put it like this: when I was told, I kind of sat down like a kid at school who hadn't done his homework. Like, how can I get out of this? What can
I remember seeing the
So I
message
would
come
need your
across
help.
because it was in like a group chat. It was in a group chat, and I remember just him sending that message, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Simon, you're gonna die."
But I'd still do it, and I would need your help. Absolutely, Adam. Both of you, all of you.
Yeah.
You all need to be there.
Well, if Chris Cyborg would stop ducking me, maybe we could get him.
Albert Marino says, thank you all for this channel, and thank you to the most electrifying sports entertainer in all of YouTube, Simon Miller.
That's
Simon.
That's too kind. It's not true, but thank you.
What else have we got? Hunter Schmitz is here. Thank you, Hunter. Says, Wilborn, if you had to take one, would you rather take the chops like Cleary took at our first Royal Rumble stream, or go through a table like I did during the 24-hour live stream, or just take a bump in the ring like Simon took?
I genuinely, because we talked about this a while back, didn't we, with primates, like gym and stuff. We were going to try and like see what it was like and film stuff, and I'd love to know what it's. I don't love, but I'd be intrigued to know what it'd be like just taking like a flat back bump, like you say. The chops thing, well, that should have been me, of course. Had Adam Cleary's alarm worked, that would have been me. Because it was 27 plus, then we were like, we'll chop you throughout because we're drinking like apple sours and getting far too giddy watching Shinsuke Nakamura win the Rumble.
It was his own fault for being late.
It was his own fault.
I'll take the other two. I'll take going through a table and taking a flat back bump than those chops. I not only saw what happened at the time, I saw the photo and physical progression of that throughout the week.
Bad.
And I've never been so happy to hear the like opening strings or piano keys or whatever of the WWE welcome to a pay-per-view thing, when I was like, he's not here, that's it, that's got to be it, sort of thing.
Nick Parryman says, your hardest ever quizzes are spectacular even with your patterned answers. Thank you all for your content. Never gonna get past that.
If you've never seen the New York show, by the way, there is the single greatest moment of me patterning Wilborn's answers live on stage in front of an audience.
Good stuff.
I think that's what threw me, because I botched one of the questions and it all goes wrong. I feel like that was what threw me then. I was just
couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
Bob Hilbig says, I stopped enjoying a lot of WWE a long time ago, but I love you all. I mean all of your personalities, which brings it back to me enjoying wrestling all over again. I rarely miss a video put out by your group and Adam on Star Trek as well.
Oh, thank you. That's going really well, by the way, over there. We had 10,000 subs in the last 2 weeks.
Wow, that's great.
Mad, isn't it? Yeah.
So 100K now as well.
Over 100K, yeah.
I ordered the little play button today, Cleary.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's another one to add to the collection.
Give it a year.
I think too, if anyone's got any interest in the company as a whole, I think probably the future of WhatCulture is doing more sort of like air quotes niche channels like that, because horror blew up massively, and that was never something we thought we would do, because it's just a subsection of film. Like, what's the point? But seeing that, like, I think the kind of the idea behind the different channels has always been finding underserved audiences. And I think we're at the stage now where, like, gaming is not underserved as an audience. We have to try and be very inventive there. Film is not underserved as an audience. Wrestling is not underserved as an audience. But now it's like adding those production values and quality of programming that we've done with the bigger channels, and finding these like smaller audiences who've never had that. They've never had dedicated content like that and dedicated channels. That's probably the direction we're going to go in the future. So
almost through all of these, Nelson Painkiller says, how is the Finger of Power doing, Miller?
The broken one? What do you mean, the general one? My nail fell off the other day, for anyone that's been keeping up to date with my broken fingers.
Nice.
But the Finger of Power is resting. The Finger of Power only gets used, what, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays, and sometimes Mondays.
Saturdays.
And Saturdays. So no, you're right, never rest. It's fine.
It's got a full-time job, the Finger of Power.
Yeah.
Zachary Cady says, congrats on the 2 million subs, my guys. I was just wondering if Simon will get back into wrestling sometime after the pandemic.
Yes.
I get asked this loads. I think I like how some people decided that a pandemic that shut down UK wrestling meant I retired. It's like, what could I have done? No, I appreciate that people care. Put it like this. I ordered a lot of new wrestling gear the other day. Half of it has turned up. The other half will be here soon. I have a whole plan of attack when I do go back. It's going to be very different to what it was before, in a way that the pandemic actually helped, because I've used this as a reset to try and think, what do I want to do? What do I not want to do? Kind of ties into the whole Simon Miller being my wrestling character. So no, as soon as, I can even tell you, late June, I will be back in the ring. I won't tell you where, because they haven't announced it yet, so I don't want to, give it away. But I pretty much have bookings from late June all the way through the year. So yeah, keep an eye. And I'm coming back. Like, the dream died way too early, and it wasn't my choice. So yeah, I will be back.
Nice. Isaac Merriweather says, I found you guys when I realized how much I loved wrestling. You all really helped bring the art of wrestling to life. Much love to you guys.
Thank you.
That's completely accidental, but thank you. Phil, I can't believe nobody's asked questions about the NXT storyline. Every video I do,
I was waiting for that through this whole thing.
I can't believe nobody's asked that. I get tweets about that every day still.
Do you want to answer it now?
Yeah, it was a pastiche on the fact that WWE don't ever resolve their storylines.
I thought people would get that. I thought people would get it. Like,
people were like, "Oh, I've seen people suggesting that maybe that's what we're trying to do because we think we're really clever." I was like, somebody asked me that in the street, in the queue for Tesco in Newcastle. We had a queue outside, and I had a mask on and sunglasses. And this person went, "Sorry, you WhatCulture, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He went, "What happened with that NXT thing? Did I miss one? Did you get kidnapped?" I went, "No, mate, I just got a promotion, so I don't really do videos anymore. I help run the business instead." He went, "Oh, that's a shame." And I was like, "No, it's not."
You're going to be a trivia answer now forevermore. What storyline did WhatCulture drop?
Well, we left it open. We left it open so we can do something fun with it later. We know who did it. There is genuinely a resolution to this. There is a kidnapper. There is like video parts that can go out afterwards. We're just not doing it yet. Take a sweet ass time.
Prince EGQ says, "What's up? Want to send a big congratulations. Keep up the hard work. What do you all think about why WWE doesn't push the Riot Squad, Naomi, and other great stars to have the potential to be huge?" I'll let you take that, Miller.
Why don't they do? Well, I don't think they do it because, well, actually, at the moment, I would put it down to the lack of focus they have on their tag team division, which is kind of true for not only the women's but the men's. And I think we saw that building into WrestleMania. I think we're seeing it now. I mean, the fact that Billie Kay and Carmella are a tag team for a week and then Billie Kay got let go, they just focus on singles programs. And if they thought Liv Morgan or Ruby Riott could fit into a singles program, I think they'd be focused on more, which is crazy because you look at tag team divisions around the world and it's proof that there's an appetite for it. But that's the issue. That's the issue, I think. Hence why, again, when you get to the singles women's championship, sometimes it is married in with the women's tag team championship because they just will not sort of put a focus on it. And why now we're going around Tamina and Natalia and Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose over and over again. So yeah, I would love them to do more with it, but The thing is, Vince McMahon's been this way apparently for years, even sort of going back to the mid '90s. He's a singles superstar promotion, which is a shame for people like that because they should be doing more with them. Yes.
Stop having Shayna Baszler take pins for the women's tag team champion.
That too.
Yeah, that too.
Tim Housen. My only input on this is just
quick fire, Cleary.
That's it. That's all we got. All I want to say.
Tim Housen says, "Afternoon, guys. Congrats on 2 million, and thank you for all the content. What's your greatest accomplishment with WhatCulture thus far?"
Oh, live ups and downs, and being involved with Defiant. That counts, doesn't it? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I think mine was directing the Defiant shows. Really, really enjoyed doing that.
But that was cool as well because I remember that was. I'm going off on it now, but that was the cool thing about that marriage was, when we used to talk before shows, Phil, and you'd be like, Miller, make sure you look for this camera, make sure you do this during your entrance. Like, oh, this is badass. It's
just
like,
me at one point having a chat with Pac like it's the most normal thing in the world about what WWE teaches you as a superstar in terms of camera work, and I was like, this is my life now.
So good. I missed them terribly. They were ace.
Go on, Wilborn, you must have done something.
Well, I was going to say wrestling catchphase again, but I'll probably just stick with getting to interview like heroes of mine. Big E, Rey Mysterio is the most obvious one because that's one of the first big ones that I did. And I said thank you very much 5 times at the end of the interview because
that was really funny.
I say I don't think it was even on the channel. I think it was on Extra. And
yeah, it was.
I say it's finished. I finish. I know I'm on the last question. He gives the answer, and I go, oh thank God. And then my brain goes, you just interviewed Rey Mysterio. So I start getting giddy, and I go, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then I go, you got to wrap it up. And I go, and thank you very much. And Nicholas just clicked. I was like, look, it's such a knobhead. And I was like, we can't cut it, but there we go.
I don't know how many people know about this on the Wrestling Channel, but the Russia trip I got to go on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like getting to like sit on a panel with like the guy who founded Watch Mojo, like this guy who like runs this media empire in Russia, like a few like notable voices in like media, and just genuinely like and me just like sitting in the middle of them talking about like how YouTube's changed media and how the future of like the industry is like it's being shaped by television but also reshaping traditional outlets and stuff, and people to actually like listen. It wasn't just like being there was nice, to get invited was nice, to get to go was nice, but like the pride bit was like at the end where people were like, that was really insightful. That's actually really that I really enjoyed what you said. That was really insightful. Haven't thought about it that way. Like getting a bit of a pat on the back from people who I would never have considered like peers or never would have considered being on the same level as was just mad. Like absolutely. You can go watch that on the main channel, by the way. It's the St. Petersburg stuff. That was
good, Jim.
Incredible. I said to Phil as well, because we were laughing the whole flight over. We were like, this is ridiculous. They must not know who we are, really. They certainly mustn't know who I am, really. Because at the time I was like, I don't want to say like just presenting as if it's a bad thing, but I was just presenting. I wasn't really running the company. Like I certainly wasn't involved with like the business side of things as much as I am now. And I was like, right, Phil, the second this plane lands, game face for 4 days. We don't make any jokes about how we shouldn't be there. We belong. We don't talk down about ourselves. We are there for a reason, and we act like we're supposed to be there. So that was it.
Tim Spulak says, Simon, will you defend the Going In Raw title against Cal Jack? Are you still the champion there?
I am still the champion. Well, again, here's more wrestling news. That was planned as well. Me and Cal Jack were going to go at it, and that got ripped apart too. So, yes, all these things are out there for a reason. That will happen, yes.
Ryan K-Bean says, will you be doing a stream for Rebellion? Leave that with you, Wilborn. I mean, I assume so.
That's Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't realize it was Sunday until
neither did I.
It's a Sunday pay-per-view, isn't it? They've moved it.
Yeah,
moved it in March. I think they changed it to Sunday the 25th.
Is that a no?
It's a no.
Dustin Driscoll, finally, congrats on the 2 mil subs and thank you for all the entertainment. My question is, what happened to the Cleary abduction storyline?
Hey,
scroll back through the video and you'll find it.
I got a promotion, so I can't spend like my entire Thursday writing and filming a video about NXT. I'm too important is what happened.
He leaves that to us.
Yeah, too important now.
Luke Cullen, what are your happiest office memories at WhatCulture?
Oh God, that's a whole other video, man.
I know, right?
That is you can't ask us that. We've already run over by 23 minutes. Oh my word.
We're at the end now, so no more questions. That's the last question.
Okay.
Apart from Manish Singh, who just says congratulations and thanks for rekindling my interest in wrestling. So thank you very much.
I don't have an office story, but it's an office-esque story. And at Wilborn, you're probably going to have to fill in the blanks with this because I was part of this as well. When I turned up at a Defiant show. It was in Manchester, I think. And you came up to me. It's the first time I've met you. And you introduced me. Hi, I'm Adam Wilborn. I knew you were, obviously, because I'd seen you on the channel. And I just want to apologize for taking away your wrestling interviews. Because I was the guy that often did when we were backstage at Defiant, I was often the guys that did the interview. And I was just like, dude, I don't care. I don't mind at all. It's nice to share the load. And as it turned out, again, you're gonna have to fill in the context, but I think you'd been completely trolled, essentially.
Yeah, completely set up. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for the live stream. But, no, it was Cleary and Blompier. It's the greatest, the greatest sort of gotcha thing that they, the greatest setup that they've done with that question. They said, because I'm completely wet behind the ears to everything, let alone working in a wrestling company. And they said it's tradition to they say it's tradition, everyone comes in and shakes hands, and that's all. That's exactly what happened with even everyone from the top of the card down. And they said it's tradition to go up and apologize for taking someone's spot. And go up and apologize because you're doing the interviews now, and Miller used to do that. And I'd obviously seen Miller on the channel and stuff. I was like, oh bloody hell, okay, I better go and do that. And literally, and they said you better do it whilst he's talking to some, show you.
Yeah, really. Well, I think what we actually said was it's not so much for Miller that you have to do this. It's just that the rest of the guys, the rest of the locker room, you don't want them to think that you're a shark or you're in there to take anybody's spot. So the best advice I give you, mate, honestly, genuinely, is don't just apologize to him. Try and make sure he's doing it in front of I don't know, when Rampage is there, some of the some of the locker room leaders. Make sure you do it there. Make sure you make a big show of it because it's for them more than it is for Miller. Miller's canny. Miller will understand. Miller won't mind. But you need the boys to know that the score and how things work here.
So I was about halfway through apologizing for taking his spot, and then I just see over Miller's shoulder Cleary and Blompier falling about in the chair. And I was it doesn't matter, Simon. I'm not mental and not weird. Don't worry. Bye. Anyway, I just
did it. Well, it's twofold. One, I wouldn't mind at all. Sharing the wealth is important, but also we then had a really good evening of doing the whole tag team interviews where you did one, I did one. It worked perfectly. So it's this is fine.
Honestly, could do an entire podcast on the pranks me and Blompier used to do on backstage at those shows. We were just so I don't know what it was, whether we just felt we were untouchable or we're just dickheads. I don't know which one it is. Somewhere in the middle.
For another time.
Yeah.
Huh? Save Jack's hat, the Jack's hat story.
Jack's hat wasn't us. Jack's hat's the greatest prank ever done at backstage at the Defiant show. That was that. And I would like to clarify, just in case he ends up watching this, that had nothing to do with me or Blompier. That had nothing to do with either of us. That was wrestlers did that to him because they felt he deserved it.
Yeah.
Wrestlers will always do the worst pranks, though. They have a whole other level for that kind of stuff.
Oh, yes. That's another podcast itself.
Shall we wrap it up on that note?
Yeah.
Please.
On a cliffhanger.
Go on, close us out, Wilborn.
Jesus, I've embarrassed myself enough on all this. Right, thank you to everyone for joining us. Obviously, thanks to everyone for helping us hit 2 million subscribers. The reason why we are here. We'll do more celebration videos the rest of this week. I think tomorrow is our best memories at WhatCulture, which will be going out, and then we've got quizzes and others, loads of great stuff basically coming your way. Follow all of us on Twitter. You can follow Phil Chambers at
Fill My Chambers, and you can follow Simon at
Simon Miller 316, and you can follow Cleary at
Adam Cleary CLERY, and you can follow Adam Wilborn
at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcast from for daily wrestling podcasts. Thanks to everyone who's commented today, donated, and as I said, just subscribed over the years to help us hit 2 million. It really, really does mean a lot. But thanks for joining us today, and we'll hopefully do this again soon. We'll see you soon. Goodbye. Bye, everyone.
I was serious about the Billy Kay thing. Bye.